Hi, I'm Rob. Thanks for your interest in today's overview and demo of NiX software. Customer data, sometimes called personal data or PII, has been sprawled in numerous cloud-based applications and third-party providers, making it more difficult to both manage and keep private. This data has largely been managed through a mix of unconnected layers of data replication, workflow, and security. As businesses work to better serve customers through preference-based personalization and privacy regulations extend new rights to customers over the use of their data, businesses are finding themselves needing to manage a large and growing set of rules around what can or should be shared with whom, where, and for how long. For example, personalized communication sent to customers should be guided by any preferences they've selected. The use or sharing of customer personal data must be limited by the customer's consent. And the storage and processing of customer data must be controlled by data residency laws and each customer's home country. This increasingly complex logic is developed and maintained as custom code across many distributed apps that the business uses, causing the business to wonder if there's an easier, less costly way to manage all these rules. To greatly ease the development, maintenance, and ongoing enforcement of this logic, NiX has developed a customer data management platform that uses a policy-based approach. This works on metadata that NiX attaches to customer data. This metadata is used to centrally automate policy decisions on the data's access and flows, similarly to how modern networks use packet headers to route network traffic. It holds the answers to what data can or should be shared, stored, or processed, by whom, where, and for how long, making it easy to centrally enable access in real time to only the data which policies, customer preferences, and consent allow. NiX also includes customers in the management of their data, because being transparent with customers about their data and its use increases customer trust, and the quality of the data improves when customers more regularly update it. This includes the selection of preferences that marketing teams need to improve the personalization that they wish to enable. NiX further enforces data policies in real time by managing end-to-end encryption of every record of customer data, greatly reducing the risk of human error, data misuse, and customer dissatisfaction. NiX extends this control to third parties to whom the business grants access to customer data and who, as a group, are the cause of the majority of data breaches. For example, when a customer removes his or her consent for the use of their data by third parties, NiX automatically and immediately revokes the third party's access to the data by revoking the appropriate encryption key. NiX can also securely reach into apps and affect sprawled data records as appropriate. This new level of encryption combined with automation also protects the data from breach and exploit, without the dependence on other layers of security. In fact, not even NiX can access the customer data. Pretty clever, right? So how does NiX policy-based engine work? Based on the metadata NiX attaches to customer data, which are called preferences in NiX, the access and flow of customer data is centrally controlled. So, requests for data from internal and third-party systems only get access to the data which these preferences, including consent and other policies such as data residency, allow. And this data access and flow is all enforced with NiX's behind-the-scenes management of record-level encryption keys. To enable all of this, NiX's REST-based API architecture makes it easy to connect with existing applications and third-party systems. And based on NiX's easy-to-manage preferences, the API can reach out into other systems to either create, update, or delete records as appropriate. So, for instance, when a customer makes a change to their consent or any other preference in real time, the data across the sprawl is automatically updated immediately, based on policy. In summary, you can think of NiX as a hub for managing customer data connectivity with consent and end-to-end security. Because there are different options for deploying NiX's policy across systems, let me take a moment to explain them. Copying data in real time between any two systems can easily be done with data replication tools, such as enterprise service buses or API management solutions, like MuleSoft, Boomi, or others. But these tools provide an all-or-nothing approach to data replication. They're not designed to limit replication based on factors such as customer preference, consent, data residency, or legal hold. Nor do these tools have any way to intake and manage customer consent or preferences in real time. To address this, one option for deploying NiX is as a policy or governance extension to an existing connectivity solution. In this scenario, NiX governs the appropriate and compliant movement of the data via data flow rules. Alternatively, businesses that don't have an existing connectivity solution in place can leverage NiX's built-in connectivity to move personal data in a compliant way, often through simple REST-based webhooks, which leverage NiX's API gateway for enabling its record-level end-to-end encryption. For today's demo, I'll be using NiX's built-in connectivity, so you can see how that works. Please allow me to introduce you to Major League Curling, the MLC, a fictitious league of the world's finest curling teams, including the Vermont Vacuums, the Boston Brooms, and 30 other teams around the globe, which collectively generate over $2 billion in revenue annually from tens of millions of fans worldwide. Our demo starts with Barry buying a jersey for his cousin Vic, who lives in Vermont and is a die-hard fan of the Vermont Vacuums. In step 2, Barry will opt out of marketing emails from the Vermont Vacuums since he's actually a Boston Bruins fan. And when doing so, he chooses to opt into the Boston Bruins team newsletter and other marketing, because the league has wisely leveraged NiX to centrally manage preferences across the entire league and all of its teams to enable these exact type of cross-marketing opportunities. And in the third and final step of today's demo, we'll show how NiX continues to make it easy to operationalize personal data management when Barry asks the Vermont Vacuums to remove all of his personal data from their systems. Let's first walk through the flow of Barry's data. In step 1, when Barry places his order, his data needs to be replicated to the Vermont Vacuum CRM system, Salesforce.com, as well as securely shared with T-shirts.com, the third party that is fulfilling his order. And it needs to be shared for both fulfillment and marketing purposes because Barry has opted into T-shirts.com marketing as well. In step 2, when Barry opts out of T-shirts.com marketing, but also opts into league marketing and his home team, the Boston Bruins newsletters, T-shirts.com must lose access to his data, and the Bruins and the league must be newly granted access. Lastly, when Barry decides to leverage his right, given to him through privacy regulation, to request that the Vermont Vacuums remove all of his personal data, Barry's data, once the request is approved by the business, must be removed from the e-commerce site Salesforce.com, plus all the encryption keys used to earlier allow access to Barry's data must be immediately revoked. Configuring NiX is done in 3 easy steps. Here in the NiX administration portal, we've created Major League Curling as an organization containing projects for the league and all of its team's data. Each project can manage its own customer data schema, connectivity, and preference rules which automatically and securely share customer data when the customer gives its preference or consent to do so. Here I've leveraged NiX's flexibility in defining JSON-based data schemas to define the Vermont Vacuum's customer data schema. This is often as easy as simply choosing one of NiX's existing schema templates. Easy enough. Once the customer data schema is defined, we can configure powerful webhook automations per data type and operation to maintain customer data across the many systems it lives in, leveraging any HTTP API that is supported by your systems. Here we see the NiX provided create webhook template for Salesforce that is fired when Barry creates his customer account and notifies the NiX API gateway to securely synchronize Barry's data to Salesforce. These webhooks make it simple to integrate data through pre-configured templates. And under the hood, NiX is ensuring the security of the customer data by encrypting each individual record and maintaining the access to multi-layer encryption keys that ensure only the appropriate users or systems can access the data. Besides the create webhook, we configure update and delete webhooks to fully automate data replication as allowed by policy. For instance, if Barry were to later change his address, update webhooks set up in a one-time configuration would propagate Barry's address change to every other system. Disseminating data updates this way greatly improves the quality of the data, so that the business is not later sending info to Barry or processing the data some other way using a stale, out-of-date address. And these data propagations are made securely through NiX's end-to-end security. In fact, NiX can't even access the data, and the only reason why a customer's data can be viewed in the NiX dashboard is because it's actually being decrypted in the browser in real time. Pretty cool, right? With the data schema and data connectivity defined via webhooks, the last step is to define data policy that governs what data can or should be shared with whom and where. As we've discussed, this is where NiX really shines. NiX makes it easy to manage this ever-changing logic by attaching metadata called preferences to customer data to enable NiX's centralized management and enforcement of the business customer data policies, also incorporating customer input in the form of customer consent or preferences. In doing so, NiX replaces the need for you to write custom code in each of your distributed apps and maintain the code with every policy change. Here we see the NiX preference configured for managing policies around a customer's consent to receive Vermont Vacuum's marketing, which Barry will be opting into and later out of in our demo. This single preference centrally performs all of the logic required based on Barry's request to revoke access to his data for marketing purposes, reaching out to remove Barry's record from any data stores as appropriate, and revoking the record-level encryption keys that are used to gain access to Barry's data for this purpose. The second NiX preference is managing the Boston Bruins marketing, which Barry will be opting into. When this happens, NiX will create new record-level encryption keys that will enable the Boston Bruins to access Barry's data for their marketing purposes, and could optionally make other notifications. In today's demo, the attributes that we're using are for straightforward preference management, but they could also be used for complex policy rules, such as legal holds or data embargoes, all without the effort and risk of sprawling any code for this alongside the underlying sprawled data, enabling a consistent and simplified way to govern customer data. Okay, with NiX configured, let's now walk through the 3 steps of today's demo. Here Barry enters his customer information and opts into T-shirts.com marketing emails, while placing his order on the Vacuum's e-commerce website built on Adobe Magento. With Barry's order completed, we can next confirm that Barry's data has been properly disseminated by NiX's webhooks and preferences. Here we can see if NiX has properly replicated Barry's data into Vermont Vacuum's instance of Salesforce.com, and we can confirm that T-shirts.com has also gotten access to Barry's data. Yes, here's Barry's record. Great, that's all worked. For the second step of the demo, Barry changes his preferences. While some NiX customers choose to have their customers manage preferences in their own custom application, NiX also provides an out-of-the-box customer preference and consent center for customers who wish to avoid the effort of building their own. For today's demo, here's the NiX pre-built Customer Preference Center, where Barry now opts out of T-shirts.com marketing and opts into League and Boston Brooms newsletters. Now that that's done, we can see if NiX preferences have worked to remove T-shirts.com's access to Barry's data, and separately confirm that the Boston Brooms do now have access to his data for marketing purposes. Great! NiX has done all of this properly for us, and all through the use of NiX's easy-to-use and easy-to-set-up preferences. In the last step, Barry requests that his data be fully removed from the Vermont vacuums. Again, this request could be made from any website you choose to empower your customers with, but in this demo, we'll be using the pre-made preference center. Here, Barry makes and confirms his request. Once submitted, the business receives it as a DSAR workflow in the dashboard. Let me leave Barry's preference center and now log into the NiX business portal, where privacy or compliance team members can review and approve Barry's or any number of other removal or rectify requests. Once these are approved by the business, with a single click, webhooks remove Barry's data from each and every of the underlying systems it lives in. This includes the Magento e-commerce website, the Salesforce CRM, as well as revoking the record-level keys that were earlier used to enable third parties to get access to his data. In this way, NiX makes it incredibly easy to automate the entire data subject request, eliminating the effort required to perform all of the required steps manually. This is a huge time saver. This completes the 3 planned demo steps, but while I'm logged into the business portal, let me quickly show you one more thing. Here we see where NiX centrally logs all of the changes made to customer data over time. One of the benefits of NiX's centralized data management approach is that the league and all of the teams have a single place to get access to a complete set of audit logs for all customer data changes. Besides being a privacy regulation requirement, this single audit log can be extremely helpful for the management of customer data, as well as providing for customer analytics around preference changes. Thank you for your interest in NiX software. Hopefully this demo has helped you get a glimpse of how customers use NiX to enable and ease their efforts around building better relationships with their customers and operationalizing trust by default with NiX's automated customer data management platform. If you've got questions or interest in learning more, we'd love to hear from you. Just email us at info@nixsoftware.io. Thanks again for your time and have a great day.